Hello, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Andrew. So I should have already posted my worst books of the year. We're moving into 2025. It's time to take a look and reflect on the last year's previous reading, and it's time to move forward into the new year, obviously, all that stuff. So naturally, my progression from worst books is going to be now the most disappointing books that I read last year. I have 7 to talk about. These are any range from, they're mostly 2 or 3 stars. These are ones, in my worst books I said there were some that I would reread and maybe give another go. I'm looking at these to see if I would or wouldn't with that, and I don't feel that with this. For some reason, I feel like because I was disappointed and not like hating them, I don't know, it's like I feel like hating them means that like they caused an emotion out of me and maybe I just need those, I don't know, it's a complicated topic. But as far as these go, okay, there is one that I would probably reread. So I'll talk to that one when I get to it. But let's start off with the number 7, which is a very popular book, but it has a very, and this was gonna hurt one of my friends because I know she loves it, but that's gonna be Mexican Gothic. I'm gonna say this is a very divisive rating, I guess. Like it seems like people give it like 5 or 2 stars. So for me, I just feel like it was atmospheric. I'll give Sylvia Marina Garcia that. I do feel like she is good at like the atmosphere, but I just need a little bit more in my books, and I'm not sure that she does like characters or plot how I like, because I did like Gods of Jade and Shadow. I did like that book. Like I think that was like 3.75 if we're gonna get really specific. But this one was a miss. It's her most popular book, so I kind of feel like that was a, I don't know, like I don't know if that's a good sampling of her. If you've read more of her books and have a different opinion, let me know. If I liked Gods of Jade and Shadow, like then what should I read? Okay, then my 6th most disappointing book is going to be The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. And to me this is disappointing because it's a really hyped romance, but I've seen, again, mixed opinions on this one. And I'm just disappointed because I really have gotten in my romance bag. Like I have found some authors that I really, really enjoy their work, like 5 stars enjoyed. So I just thought like, and they're usually contemporary romance. So I was like, okay, well, this is gonna hit for me. And it just, I think maybe just like the work setting wasn't quite what I would have liked, or the conflict wasn't as good. Like the tension, I did like certain things that happened towards the end with like our girl standing up for herself. But other than that, I guess also just like the love interest. I mean, there's definitely some much more heroes. There's some other heroes that I've enjoyed much more than this one. So to me, it was just kind of like not the best. Okay, then the 5th most disappointing is going to be this collection of short stories that was edited by Art Kwong, because I thought she had a story written in it, but I guess not. And the only reason I picked it up was because I wanted to read everything she's written, and she didn't write anything in this story, she just edited it. Now, it's disappointing and not the worst because there were stories that I enjoyed in the collection. Specifically, the one that comes to mind right away is the one by Catherine M. Valente, who is an author that I am very intrigued to read more from, about somebody who falls in love with the time-space continuum. Just incredible. Catherine M. Valente seems, so far I've only read 2 things by her, but that short story and Come For Me With Apples, is an author that I just think executes concepts in the way I like to read personally. So it's not the worst, but everything else was disappointing. There was a couple, I remember, I think I put on my review like the authors I want to read more from, like kind of for myself. So I need to check those out, those authors. That's really it for that book. Okay, then our 4th worst is going to be The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz, I believe, something. Again, this was a book that just, like my worst books, I feel like a lot of those books, they just feel like you're reading them forever, which is just always a bad sign. And this one, I think at some point, you know, the audio, it just kind of like stopped. This is my plan. Part of my plan going forward is to just try to read books quicker, because I feel like this is what happened with this one. This is why I want to reread this one. I also have seen specifically Jashana mention like she read it, didn't like it, reread it, loved it. So like I know it's possible for her. So like, is it possible for me? Only one way to find out. But I think I have an entire vlog where I'm reading this book and other books. Like I took, I don't know how long the vlog. I think it's like a 3-week vlog. So long time. Okay, it is now several days later and I never finished my disappointing books video. So I believe the last book that I was talking about was The Shadow of the Wind. So I pretty much said everything I want to say about that one, and I know I mentioned a vlog where I read it. I read that and also this following book in the same vlog, and that is Heir of Fire, which is funny because there's going to be another Throne of Glass book in my favorite books of the year video. So I clearly have mixed opinions on this series, and Heir of Fire is where I decided at that moment that I was not going to keep reading this series for now, but part of me, you know, maybe this year I will go back and finish the whole series. I'm still undecided. I mean, I've read halfway through the series at this point. So I only have 4 books left to go, and I know many people sort of agree with me on Heir of Fire, but also people think Heir of Fire is their favorite, but just my opinion is that Heir of Fire just really, it decided to take a step back from kind of the plot that was introduced in Crown of Midnight, and I guess because of publishing reasons and stuff, like that's why. It doesn't really matter why, we're just here to talk about my experience. Of course, publishing, that's a whole other discussion, but from what I hear about the later books in the series, I think that I would enjoy the series overall and maybe just dislike Heir of Fire and the prequel. I mean, the prequel, again, a whole other, you know, I would like to finish Throne of Glass just to kind of like make a whole video on it, so I might do that just to do that. Because like I said, one of the other books in the series was is going to be in my favorites of the year, and if Heir of Fire was one of my most disappointing, you can probably guess. And if I didn't continue the series, you can probably guess. It's one of the first 2, obviously. Okay, and then I'm gonna say my next, this is like my third most disappointing. I guess I'm going from like my least disappointed to most disappointed, just so that means that like the top disappointing is, I mean, you get, obviously it's like in the word, we all know what it means. So the expectations, of course, are it's Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. I would like to be a fantasy romance girl. I really think that like it's out there for me. It's a whole topic I feel like every single booktuber is talking about right now, how they love fantasy and they love romance separately, and we just can't all seem to agree on what those 2 things should look like when you put them together. And I don't know if that's because like some people prefer more the fantasy than more romance. I don't know. For me, this just kind of felt like everything just felt flat. And I've liked historical stuff in the past because this is like a historical fantasy, Howl's Moving Castle, Bridgerton. Like I don't know if anyone else has ever used those comps, but I feel like that's, and even though I've never seen Bridgerton, I have read and seen Howl's Moving Castle. So I mean, I know that's where I can pull that from. I don't know. It seems like I would think also like a whimsical fantasy romance would be like my perfect bread and butter. But this just like didn't, I guess I just wanted more tension in terms of this. Like I definitely don't think I'm gonna continue the series. I'm probably gonna unhaul this. Like, I don't know. But then another part of me is like, maybe I could reread it and love it. I don't know. I talked about that on a World Hoppers video. Like I feel like I have reread stuff before and not like 100%, like it's not become like a hated it to absolutely loved it, but I've definitely been like, this is better than I thought, so maybe. Okay, then my second most disappointing is by T. Kingfisher, and it's Thornhedge. This was my first T. Kingfisher book, and I'm still excited to read all of her stuff, but I just felt like from what I'd heard everyone say about her books that like she was gonna become like potentially an all-time favorite author, which she still could, because it's only 1 book, so she still could. But I just kind of, again, felt like there's just not enough meat on the bones, really, although I do also love the idea of a short, easy to digest fantasy book. So I know she has many others, so I think I already have Metal and Bone from the library, hopefully gonna read it in the next like week or 2. So hopefully that ends up on my favorites 2025, but I gave it 3 stars, Thornhedge, gave it 3 stars, and I did like her writing. Like I did like her writing, and I just kind of wanted more. Like I felt like it was like too safe in a way, I guess. That's my second most disappointing. And then easily the most disappointing from me is because like this author, I put him on it. I would still probably consider him a favorite author, but the more and more I'm reading, the more, I don't know, it's In the Lives of Puppets by TJ Klune, another T initial name. Yeah, it's definitely my most disappointing read of 2024 because I had given The House on the Cerulean Sea 5 stars. I still need to read that sequel. And I've given a lot of other works. I also gave Wolfsong like 4 stars, and something else by him I gave 4 stars. So I'd given everything like 4 stars, but it's crazy because this is another book. Why I said in my worst books, like one of the worst feelings ever is like feeling like I'm reading the book forever. And I mean, I guess there's books I want to read forever, but that's obviously because it's favorite, and this just felt like it would never end. And there were characters that just absolutely grated on me, particularly, I'm trying to remember, I can't remember the character's name, but it was like the robot. The robot just, it was like everything, I don't know if it was the narrator, like the innuendo was just like, I mean, which TJ Klune is full of that. All of his books are full of innuendo, and like, I'm normally okay with it. But something about the way it was done in here, I absolutely hate it. And I still gave it 3 stars, but I kind of feel like it should have been a 2.5 or a 2, because like if we're going to talk about the level of enjoyment I had with that book, like I'd probably say I enjoyed this more than that book, but it's just hard to put myself there because I've literally given like 5 stars, like would consider Thousands Realty like an all-time like top 10 favorite book ever. So it's just clearly the disappointment is there. So those are all my disappointing books from 2024. Next we're gonna do surprising, and then my most favorite, and then hopefully I'm gonna do my goals video. Like I hopefully get all this done before the end of January. It's already the 18th because life be lifing. So, but hopefully I can get like all that filmed today. You're gonna see me in the same outfit in all those videos. But as long as they are recorded, I can edit them whenever I need to, upload them whenever I need to. So hopefully, but I would like to have them all done obviously by the end of January, since it is now 2025, and I would like to start talking about my 2025 reads. I will leave my Instagram and Goodreads in the description down below if you'd like to check them out. I just paused because I was thinking about all of the situation with Meta, but for now, that's what I'm linking down below. If it changes, I'll let you know. Otherwise, have a great day. Bye.